So what's up people, welcome to the new video of this GitHub Actions series, and in this video we are gonna talk about how you can run pre-built actions inside your GitHub Actions workflow and what are these actions, and we will see how you can run some other commands directly inside your GitHub runner. As in the last video we have seen how you can run your bash commands. We will see how you can run your commands on a different shell, like if you want to run a Python instructions directly inside your GitHub Actions workflow. So how we can do that? So now let's create our first workflow. So let's create a new file here and we can say it second workflow.yaml, and first of all we need to specify a name to it. So we can say second workflow, you can name it anything. So now we need to add an event on it, let's say on push, and now we can specify our jobs here. So our first job will be run commands or something we can say, and we want this job runs on like Ubuntu latest. Now we can start writing our steps. So our first step will be we need to run a Python command or Python script. So how we can do that? Let's add a name here on this step and we can say run Python script. So we can specify like what we want to run. So we can say print this is Python, and here if you want to run a Python shell script or any Python instruction, so you can specify a shell to Python, right? So you can say here like I want this to run on Python, and now we can push it and let's say run Python instruction, run Python script. Let's push it. Now let's go to our repository, and here you can see our workflow is running. This is that second workflow, this is the job, and here you can see it is saying this is Python. So it executed this script successfully in Python. So now we will see how we can run some pre-built action inside our GitHub Actions workflow. So first of all, what are these actions that we can use? So actions is basically kind of a function, you can say. So it takes some inputs or give us some outputs. So it is like a processing function. So it do some work for us and it can give us some outputs, and it can do some work for us, right? So these actions can be built by someone else, and you can also write your own GitHub actions, right? So this is a very common action inside GitHub Actions. This is checkout action. Why we need to use it? So remember one thing, whenever we run a workflow, so it will boot a new GitHub runner, right? But inside that GitHub runner, this GitHub runner is completely empty, so it does not have any files. So we want to clone this repository inside that GitHub runner, because if we want to work with our code inside that repository, or we want to deploy that code, or we want to do something with that code, right? So we can use that code by cloning the repository inside our GitHub runner. How we can do that? We need to initialize a repository inside our GitHub runner, and then we can clone this GitHub Actions repository where we are running our workflows, right? So how we can do that? Instead of running any git commands, we can basically use this checkout action, and this checkout action will check out to this repository. So as in this documentation, you can see it is saying that this action checks out your repository under GitHub workspace, so your workflow can access it. So how our workflow will access our repository? We need to use this actions checkout. How to use these actions? You just need to add this uses keyword here instead of run. So if you want to run some commands, then you can use run, but if you want to use a pre-built action, then you can add this keyword uses, right? So it is saying you can basically copy from here and you can specify here, right? So it is saying like uses actions checkout, right? It is simple. So now if you want to check like is our repository is there inside GitHub Actions runner or not, so we can run any command. So let's create first a file here. We can say sample.py, and inside that we can add some lines. Let's say print this is a example Python file, and here we can specify like we want to run this script or this file inside our GitHub Actions runner. So we can specify here run python sample.py. So remember one thing, if we do not check out to our repository before this line, this command, so it will not work because it cannot access this sample.py file. After we check out, then it will clone all the things inside our GitHub repository, and after that we can access all the files or folders inside our GitHub repository, inside our workflow, right? So now let's push it. Check out repo. Let's go to actions, and our workflow is triggered here. So our workflow executed successfully, and here you can see this is a example Python file. So our command is executed successfully. So you can see this action was executed when we defined it. So it is saying like it takes some inputs. So inputs it takes as default our main repository where we are running this action, right? And you can see here like what this action is doing in this logs, right? So it is initializing git and it will cloning the repository of this repository, right? So if you like this video, please hit the like button and do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.